What's up, everybody? Today on MCUEx, we're going to be talking about the Punisher spin-off series that's happening. Captain America Civil War is killing it at the box office, and Jon Favreau might be coming back to direct another MCU movie. Which one should it be? We're going to talk about all that and more on episode 13 of MCUEx.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the 13th episode of MCUEx, your number one source for MCU news, reviews, and discussion. I'm Addie Brie Hays, and joining me today is Doug Herring.
Hi, Addie. Hi, everybody. How you doing, Addie?
I'm good, how are you?
I am very good. Very excited to see Civil War again.
Absolutely.
It comes out tonight when we're filming this. It'll already be out for you guys seeing it here. But yeah, we've seen it. We can't wait to see it again.
And again, and again.
And again, and again. And make sure you check out our spoiler review for Civil War, which is already on our channel. So if you haven't checked that out yet, make sure to do so if you've seen
the movie first.
Yeah, see the movie first, and then check out our spoiler review. Also with us is Jeremy Stewart, who has a bit of a special announcement to make.
Yeah, so clearly if you watch the show, you know that we're currently going through some changes. We changed the format and our location. And along with that is next week will be my last episode on the show. I'm moving out of New York and won't be here, but I mean these two are more than capable. They don't need me. So they'll continue the show. The show will go on. Yeah, just this way it's not a surprise when I'm suddenly not here anymore.
Yeah.
But I will be trying to pitch in best I can from the West Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so
we will miss you, and as much as you say otherwise, we do like having you here.
Yeah, no, but also just like a thank you to everyone who watches this for letting me be part of this and do this.
Yeah.
It's one of the highlights of my week.
Aww.
But let's do what you guys care about and then talk about the news.
Alright, so our first news story of this week is that Punisher spinoff is confirmed. Last Friday morning, not to our surprise, the Punisher series was confirmed. So, guys, are you surprised about it at all?
No, not surprised. I think this is something that we all saw coming. We all needed it to happen. We all wanted it to happen. But yeah, while I'm not surprised, I think we can all agree it's great news.
I'm so excited about it. I loved him. He was probably my favorite part of Daredevil Season 2.
Yeah, in fact, one of the weakest parts of Daredevil Season 2 is that Daredevil wasn't the most compelling
Yeah,
character.
for sure.
Especially
Now,
at the end.
here's the question I have. What do you think's going to happen? Like, what part of the Punisher story do you think we're going to see?
Because, I mean, if you think about it, we're going to have Iron Fist, then Defenders, in Jessica Jones Season 2, supposedly.
Well, we don't really know the timeline. Because,
I mean, we can maybe guess that?
Well, I don't even know if we can, because I think Jessica Jones Season 2 is supposed to be filming in 2017.
Right, but
which means we might not... Early 2017, but we might not see it till 2018.
Yeah.
And I don't know when we're going to see Defenders.
Right.
I don't think I think we'll see it... I think it'll be Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and then maybe Defenders, then Jessica Jones Season 2, then Punisher.
That's what I was thinking was going to happen.
I think unless Netflix bumps it up to 3 shows a year, which is entirely possible.
Yeah.
Although they have said that they don't really plan on doing that.
Right, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And especially because they all film in New York, I know just for the crew and for location, that'd be a lot to try and balance.
The crew is the same across the
the crews for Daredevil and Iron Fist is this pretty much the same crew, and for Jessica Jones and Luke Cage is pretty much they use the same crews.
Right.
And not obviously not exactly the same people, but like the core groups are the same.
Yeah.
So just like getting everywhere, especially in New York City, to do 3 shows a year might be really, really tough.
But to answer your question about what do you think is going to happen, if it takes place after Defenders, I feel like Defenders might be kind of like Civil War. Well, it just changes the whole game.
Right.
Where I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I can guess, but I'm probably wrong.
I think especially since Punisher series is probably a couple years away at least.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's a strong chance that we see him in Defenders for an episode or two first. And then based on whatever happens there, we go from there into the Punisher series.
Yeah.
Cool. What's next?
Great. So the Russo brothers want Namor, Great Lakes Avengers, and a Black Widow movie. Doug, what's your thoughts on this?
So doing press for Civil War, Russo brothers have been interviewed a lot, and they were asked, like, what characters would you like to see get pulled into the MCU? And I love their answers for this because Namor's not really an obscure character, but the Great Lakes Avengers are.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know if Marvel can use those since they're technically mutants. They have your favorite character, Squirrel Girl.
It's not my favorite. I just got passionate about it.
But I think it's cool. I think Namor's awesome. One of the coolest characters. If they can get Atlantis right, if they can get the character right, because in the comics, he is completely unlikable.
Right.
And yet everybody loves him. I mean, not everybody in the comics universe. Everybody who reads about him loves him.
Kind of like Tony Stark in the movies.
Even more so, though.
Wow.
No. Tony Stark is egotistical, but an obviously good guy.
Great.
Namor's just an asshole. And
love it.
He's not even right sometimes. Like he's done total dick moves in the comics where it's not. There's no defending. Like he's the villain of some stories.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I'd love to see him get pulled in because if we're exploring like Earth. Mm-hmm. And now we're going into space more and more. I'd also love to see go like deep sea, and like see his. I would really love to see like underwater Atlantis.
Yeah, I think underwater filming is something that's so difficult, but
can look so awesome.
Well, we haven't really seen it done well yet, but I think we're about to because with Aquaman coming out in 18?
20? Also, I know one of the next Avatars, James Cameron one
of the reasons Avatar has been
delayed,
taking so long is because James Cameron is apparently like developing this brand new technology to film underwater.
And so if they can get that tech to film underwater and make it look like your characters can still just breathe water and you don't have the actors be like, okay, we're going to film through a panel of water, but it looks weird. Right. Because you have to make your movements all fluid. Like, if they can get that down, then having Atlantis would be, like, just the coolest.
Yeah, I agree. And there are ways to get around it because Namor's not 100%.
Right,
he's half Atlantean, half human. And obviously he spends time on land, but you need a way to capture the underwater scenes in a cool way that doesn't look cheesy or weird.
Right.
But if they could figure that out, I'd love to see that character join the MCU.
The other news stories from that,
Black Widow.
The Black Widow thing, it's like they keep saying it.
Yeah.
But like the Russo brothers saying it makes me a little happier because they treat Black Widow like a queen in all their movies. Like
I was gonna say,
and there's also the huge Fandango poll that just happened where
is so important to me.
had like a very big reaction of like a lot of people clearly want to see this.
Yeah, I think, and Addie, what you said about the Russos just making Black Widow an awesome character is spot on. Because other than the Russos, the only directors who have really tried to do anything with Black Widow are Jon Favreau briefly in Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
And that was an introduction, so we haven't really seen his take on the character.
Yeah.
But then Joss Whedon... You can tell he likes the character, but I'm not 100% sure he gets the character.
Yeah. He's a little bit. I feel like he's a little bit more emotional, gooey, ooey with her.
Well,
with that one particular scene in Age of Ultron,
and some of the scenes in Avengers as well.
Stuff.
Yeah. I don't know.
I still enjoyed.
No, yeah, me too. Yeah. I think Whedon has a strong vision for Black Widow. Vision. But I think the Russos have been so far at least better at executing.
Yes.
For Black Widow. So
agree.
If we saw a Black Widow movie, right now, unless they got somebody completely new to the MCU, which they probably would, I would love to see the Russos direct a Black Widow movie.
Yeah.
Because like you said, they get that character, and her action in Civil War is probably...
I think I've brought it up so many times.
Of all the... Well, okay, maybe Black Panther has better action than her.
I don't know, man.
But if I was to give an action award to one character in Civil War, it's either Black Panther or Black Widow.
Black Panther.
And so to see an entire movie of Widow would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's next?
Okay, so the next news story is that Infinity War movies to get new titles. In more interviews with the Russo brothers, they have... Someone kind of was like, isn't it kind of misleading that the Infinity War movies will be part 1 and part 2 because you've said that they're 2 different movies. Right. And Russo brothers were like, yes, they are 2 very different movies. You know what? We're going to give you a scoop. They're getting renamed.
Right.
Which I'm kind of excited about because the whole like thing in the movie industry where there's like the Harry Potter Part 1, Part 2, like the Hunger Games Part 1, Part 2. I think Divergent series did that.
Yeah.
The Part 1 always kind of feels like a setup, and then the Part 2 is always like the better one where it's a lot more action, everything's happening.
I also
so
just like
the idea that they like are very much confirming like there's two different movies.
So they're getting two different titles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that makes me a little bit happier.
Always for me, it was like calling Part 1 and Part 2. It seems lazy.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't find two titles that's like it's my whole thing with like the Now You See Me movies. Should have been Now You See Me and Now You Don't, not Now You See Me Part 2. Like I get that you want to like the reason for that is so that people who go and see it, they see Infinity Wars Part 1 and then when they see Part 2 they're like, "Oh yeah, let's make that connection."
Right.
I think the people who are going to see this movie anyways already know what they're going to see. It's Marvel, and they're going to be like, okay, I know what's happening.
Avengers.
Yes.
Well, I think the Part 1, Part 2 works if you're telling two halves of the same story. But with two movies in between,
right,
and a
years,
year, which for most movies is not a lot, but for the Marvel universe, that's a ton of time. Yeah, I don't think there's any way that you can end on a cliffhanger and then pick up right where you left off.
Right.
Yeah.
So to make it two stories with two different names is great. Do you guys have any thoughts about what the names will be?
Yeah. I think it might involve... I think the word Infinity is going to stay there.
Yeah.
But maybe like Infinity Gauntlet and then like... Or maybe Infinity and then Gauntlet. Right? They might split up.
No, they're not going to make the name of a movie Avengers Gauntlet.
Maybe it's something dealing with the Avengers being like reborn. Not reborn, but like the old Avengers kind of like dying or leaving and stop being the Avengers and the new Avengers really take up the mantle that Captain America isn't involved. This is also why I'm not a Marvel writer.
Yeah. Again.
So I think maybe it's something with that. The first one will be called Infinity War and the second one may be called...
I actually think it's going to be the other way around. I think the second one will keep the Infinity War title.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
I mean, yeah.
Because I think the Infinity War is when all the Marvel Universe comes together, including Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
And they all are fighting Thanos, who has the glove, or who has the gauntlet, with all 6
together.
stones. Right.
Yeah.
The Avengers. Infinity Thumb.
So that sounds more like a Part 2 thing.
Yeah.
That's a war. I think that'll be Part 2. Part 1...
It might just be called, like, Thanos.
Avengers Thanos, like it doesn't sound right. Like
that's
in the comics,
so
Thanos Quest was the storyline that saw Thanos getting the
gauntlet. Yeah,
Thanos Quest sounds a little lame to me as a movie title.
This is true.
I think Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity War makes sense.
Yeah.
Then again,
because the first movie could be about him visiting all the places where we follow him more than anyone else.
Because here's a good plug for our MCU Explained series.
Yeah.
If you want to know where all the Infinity Stones are in the MCU right now and what they do and why they matter, check out our new series MCU Explained, where we have one video that's already out about what the Infinity Stones are and where they are, and then another one coming out that's kind of talking about Infinity War and what it is and why it's so cool. But as we talk about in that video, Thanos, I mean, we have one, maybe two, depending on if you believe the Heimdall theory. We have one on Asgard, we have one on Xandar, we have one with Vision, one with the Collector, and then probably one with Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And then Heimdall maybe 6, or we just don't know.
I missed one, but it doesn't matter. My point is, people are gonna die.
Yeah.
In Thanos' quest to get the Infinity Stones, he's gonna kill a bunch of people.
Love it.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
I'm so excited.
And so I would like to see Avengers Infinity War Part 1, whatever it's titled, I'd like to see it just basically Thanos rampaging through the galaxy, collecting Infinity Stones, killing Vision.
Yeah. To get...
Because I think Vision dying not only makes Thanos stronger, it also makes the Avengers weaker.
Way weaker.
Yeah,
right.
This is true.
So,
yeah. Let's
move on.
All right. The next news story is that the Russo brothers say an LGBT character is coming. Jeremy, what do you have to say about this?
Right, so the Russo brothers in another press interview for Civil War were asked a question about having an LGBTQ character, and their response was, in quotes, "It's a strong chance."
Right.
And the explanation is that we will see one in an upcoming Marvel film. And we know we have them in the universe already with Hogarth and Joey Gutierrez on the TV side, and yeah, it's great that they're going to be in an upcoming film.
Yeah, I agree. I think Phase 3 definitely seems to be a more diverse phase than the other two, which makes sense because phases 1 and 2, when the Marvel brand was still kind of untested,
right.
I don't agree with the excuse, but the excuse is, you know, a movie starring a gay character, a black character, whatever. It's a risky...
Or a female lead.
Or a female lead.
Marvel,
It's a riskier
business,
move. I don't know if that's true or not. There is some research that suggests it is, but personally I think female superhero movies have failed because they're all terrible so far.
Catwoman.
Right. Catwoman didn't fail because... Catwoman and Elektra didn't fail because they starred females.
Catwoman failed because of that basketball
because they were
scene.
fucking terrible. If you want to look at a superhero movie starring a black character that did well, how about Blade?
Yeah.
One of the first modern superhero movies.
I would love to see Blade back.
Me too, and I think Marvel has the rights, and there's been talk about them rebooting it. Yeah. Anyway, anyway, regardless of whether the reasoning was good or not, I can kind of understand where they're coming from a business perspective.
Right. But again, this is, like we were talking about earlier, this is coming from the Russos' mouths themselves.
Right.
So
I think that now that the Marvel brand is strong enough that they've basically proven it doesn't matter which characters we put in, people will come see the movies as long as they're good, and Marvel knows how to make a good movie. I think it's really a good thing that they're having them. As for which characters that might be added, I don't know. We talked about Namor earlier, who's not necessarily gay in the comics.
Also not necessarily straight.
Well, that's the thing. He's sort of sexually ambiguous. Yeah. And I'd like to see him done the way that Oberyn was done in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Where he's this like insanely charismatic sexual being.
Yeah.
He doesn't care what race, what gender, what species. Right. I would like to see that for a character like Namor. It makes perfect sense for him.
I would love, if they do Namor, to have Zachary Quinto play him. Because I feel like that would be perfect.
Yeah, that's been a popular fan cast for a while, and I agree. I think he'd do a great job.
Yeah.
Zachary Quinto happens to be gay, not that that's necessarily relevant.
A fact.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's cool. I think we should bring in actor. Diversity should not just be characters. It should be actors and directors and writers as well. So that's cool.
Female director.
But regardless of that, I agree. Quinto would make a great Namor.
Yeah, just on a purely acting basis.
Although knowing Marvel, they'll pick somebody completely different.
Who will still probably be amazing.
Right, who we never expect and then turns up to be amazing.
They didn't do that with Doctor Strange, though. Benedict Cumberbatch was probably
the
front runner.
That is the exception and not the rule.
Yeah.
Nobody saw Chris Pratt coming for Star-Lord. Nobody saw Robert Downey Jr. coming for Iron Man.
No one saw Chris Evans.
Right, yeah.
No, I get you.
I remember being so surprised when Kilgrave was cast.
Yeah, as David Tennant.
As David Tennant, because
David Tennant as Kilgrave.
David Tennant as Kilgrave and Jessica Jones. Yeah, because Purple Man in the comics is nothing like he is in the show.
Right.
Yeah.
And also David Tennant, who his best known thing being Doctor Who, being a good, charismatic,
like this fun, silly guy. Yeah. The character that I was hoping, or the actor that I was hoping for, was Glenn Howerton, who plays Dennis in It's Always Sunny. And he was actually in talks to play Star-Lord.
Yeah.
Gunn looked at him to play Star-Lord, and then it went to Chris Pratt.
That's awesome.
But I think his like style of being a psychopath, but also really weirdly charismatic.
Right.
I think that, and he also has the look. I think that would have been a good. We're getting way off topic.
We are.
But I think that would have been a good Purple Man.
Yeah, but Tennant killed it.
A completely different direction.
So yeah, we'll see what happens in the when it gets announced, and I'm sure you two will talk about it, and I'll chime in best I can. I'll just have a little iPad right here with my face on it.
All right.
What's next? The next news story is that Civil War is Fandango's highest pre-selling movie ever. Jeremy.
Yeah, I just think this really speaks to the reviews that we saw before we saw it, the ones that everyone has done, that it's getting just like fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, 10-star reviews, 5-star reviews, A+, depending on which review site you go to, because they all have different rating systems.
And being called maybe the best movie from the MCU.
And I think people are seeing that, and I think people were a little wary after Age of Ultron to be like, okay, let me wait to see what people think about this before I go see it. But now that these reviews are coming out and the buzz and the hype is just getting more and more and more,
Yeah.
people are really going to are going and be like, okay, I want to reserve my seat. I want to make sure I have a good seat. I want to make sure I'm there on time. So Fandango's platform is perfect for that. And it's showing, I think, how good this movie is.
Yeah.
The movie's phenomenal, and I'm so glad. But this isn't really that surprising.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought was
kinda
cool. One thing that I thought was cool that's kind of related to this is America is like the only country in the world right now where Captain America hasn't been released.
I know.
It's out everywhere except for like China and Russia. And it in international territories has made like $250 million in its first week, which is huge. So yeah, I think Ultron level opening weekend is definitely within its reach.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think it's going to have better legs than Ultron.
Yeah,
I completely agree.
That's what I was going to say as well, because I mean, we already saw it, but in the pre-screening, we missed so many jokes because I mean, the audience was like laughing so hard, and like we were just so invested that like obviously this weekend the same thing will happen with the audiences. So I will probably see it again the next weekend and the next weekend.
Yeah,
so
I'm going to see it at least 2 more times.
Audience so I can pick up on everything way more, or the smaller things. So I think that's one of the things Age of Ultron didn't have.
Yeah. And also the other thing is there are new characters in this, and you're going to go back and like for Spidey, you're going to go see it again for Spidey. I'm going to go see it again for Black Panther. People are going to latch on to these things.
That's a good
in
point.
It and
People
be like,
will have different things that they want to go back and see.
But they're going to talk to their friends and be like, yo, I love this. Yo, I love this. Let's go see it again. And I'm going to watch for your thing. You watch for my thing.
Well, one thing that I thought was really interesting, there's so much good stuff in this movie. I've forgotten awesome shots.
Yeah.
Like Good Morning America or the Today Show or one of the morning talk shows had a new clip of Hawkeye's entrance. This isn't really a spoiler because it's a clip of the film and you've probably seen it by now, but spoiler if you don't want to know about Hawkeye's entrance. But Hawkeye has this like great entrance with Scarlet Witch talking about how Cap needs their help.
Yeah.
And it's like this really, weirdly enough to say about Hawkeye, it's this badass entrance. And I'd completely forgotten that it happened because so much other awesome stuff.
Right. Yeah, no, I was listening to the BBC review of it, and they play a clip from the beginning, and it was like Paul Rudd's, it was an Ant-Man thing, and I was like I remembered it happened, but I was like, oh yeah, that was a lot funnier. Like, that was really funny.
Right.
And I forgot how funny. It was great.
Because there's just so much to think about from that movie.
All right.
Addie, what's next?
All right, our last news story of the day is conflicting most wanted reports. Doug, what are your thoughts on this?
So, yeah, this is not a happy story, but it's kind of an interesting one. A while back, there were some reports saying that the Most Wanted pilot was getting a lot of early buzz. It was a lock for a series pickup. And now there are reports that are slightly less optimistic saying that maybe the buzz has cooled a little bit and it might not happen. And then pretty much every source is saying that Agent Carter's probably dead.
Yeah.
So it's not looking great for network Marvel television.
Yeah, and I think that's okay. I really do think that's okay, because I think between Netflix and, I mean, we'll see what happens with Cloak and Dagger, but I think there's plenty of Marvel TV for us to look forward to. We know the Netflix model works brilliantly and definitely a lot better than the network TV model.
Yeah.
Not having to worry about commercials, not having to worry about, like, fitting in a 23-episode, 22-episode season, right? They can do what they want on Netflix. If Bobby and Hunter don't come back, I would love to see it. I would love to see Most Wanted.
Right.
I'm not gonna be sitting here being, like, crying about it not being on television.
Yeah, unlike Agent Carter, Bobby and Hunter left things with no cliffhangers, with no loose threads.
It was like a perfect goodbye for them.
Right. So if that never happens, I won't be too upset. I will be a little pissed if Agent Carter doesn't get picked up. At least for like a 4-episode conclusion to it was such a stupid idea for them to end on a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
season 1 was supposed to be self-contained, and it
Right.
was. And then season 2 was like unlikely, and then they got picked up. Season 2 should have just been
another,
like, hey, we got a second season, we're gonna do one more story, and it should have ended.
Right.
And so if they got picked up for season 3, they could have done the same thing. But then it's like they got cocky.
Yeah.
And they ended on a cliffhanger.
Way too ambitious.
Now, the nice thing is, it's in the same universe. There's no reason to suggest that Agent Carter's threads couldn't be tied up
right.
on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Or even like a Marvel one-shot or something
Or a
like
one-shot
that.
or whatever.
Or a web series.
But it's frustrating.
Yeah.
I agree with everything that you guys have said.
Yeah.
If Most Wanted does happen, I think that would be my favorite over Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. recently has kind of been for me. But yeah, I agree with everything you guys say.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's our main discussion of the day?
All right, our main discussion is Jon Favreau wouldn't be surprised if he returns to the MCU. Which is awesome.
That's cool. I kind of find it interesting the timing of these comments.
Right.
Because he just like last week, Robert Downey Jr. said that he'd be open for another Iron Man movie. Now Favreau's saying maybe he'd come back and direct a movie. I think I really at this point would not be surprised if Phase 4 kicks off
with Iron Man 4 directed by Favreau.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because I enjoyed Iron Man 3 probably more than Iron Man 2. I love Shane Black as a director.
Yeah, I do love Shane Black.
But it was a Shane Black movie.
Yes,
it was not a Marvel movie.
This is true.
It was a Shane Black movie that happened to have Iron Man in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Favreau deserves more credit than he gets for his hand in creating the MCU as we know it. And so I'd love to see him come back. If he doesn't come back for Iron Man 4, I'd like to see him maybe take on, if they ever get the rights back, I think he'd be great at Fantastic Four.
I think one of the other ones that he would be great at is Inhumans because of Jungle Book and how much he's like perfectly recreated that world, especially through CGI.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the other movies that I think he'd be a great director.
I also
Ant-Man
think
and the Wasp. If Peyton
Reed's
out
going
for
for that.
Reason. I know that, but like that was an idea that I had.
If eventually Phase 4 they do a Namor standalone, I think Favreau would be great for that. I am just excited that he's a very, very talented director.
Yes.
And he's got a wide range of things he can do, and all you have to do is look at from Chef to Jungle Book. They're completely different stories, and they're completely different worlds for completely different audiences. And so if he can, we've seen those talents in the first Iron Man, just like perfectly pinpointing a character story in this universe that exploded, which is the reason we're doing this, frankly, is because Favreau did such a good job.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see him back. I really, really like him as a director. I would also love to see Happy back, driving around, because I think he brought a lot of levity to the first 2 Iron Man films.
Yeah.
And the third. Because the third he had the badges.
Right. And he also got blown up, which was sad. But I love seeing Happy wandering around too. And so Favreau back means Happy's back, which is great.
Right.
Just Happy.
Yeah, which excites me.
And he obviously has a really good relationship with Disney because he does he did the 2 Iron Mans,
yeah,
Jungle Book, and
yeah.
he's still executive producer on some Marvel movies. So I'm happy that he was
and the other thing is he totally, because he's been there from the beginning. I think he understands it all. It's not like he's gonna come in and be like, okay, I have to research where this person came from, what they've done in these past movies, what their origin is. It's like he already knows this, even if he didn't want to. He does because he's part of it. Because he's one of the reasons for starting the whole thing. And I think it seems like he and Feige have a really good understanding of what they want.
Yeah, the other thing too is that he's done it before, so we know he's not going to come in and try to do his old new thing and not stay connected with the MCU. So it's he's a very trusting, good director, which I hope he's back.
Yeah, me too. Along those lines, who are other directors you want to see though? Because we just named a whole bunch of movies that are all going to need directors.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel needs one.
Marvel needs one. I think we should hear about that pretty soon. I think on the slate right now, because Inhumans got taken off the slate, Captain Marvel's the only one that doesn't have a director.
Right, because the Russos are doing Infinity, whatever they're called.
Right.
Part 1 and Part 2.
Right, and Coogler's doing Black Panther.
Is writing and directing, right? He's
co-writing.
Co-writing.
he is not the main writer of the script.
But he's on it.
Right.
I guess I know that there was like a rumor at some point, I don't know if it's confirmed, or James Gunn said something that he might not be back for Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't really say that he wouldn't come back. He just basically said that even if Guardians 3 happens, that doesn't necessarily mean he comes back. It depends on what he wants, what Marvel wants.
It was also, it was one of those things where I think he was like, it was a Facebook question, he was in the middle of on set for Guardians 2, and he was like, let me finish this movie first, and then see how tired I am and how much I want to come back.
But if he didn't come back, who would you want to do?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Because it's such a special movie.
Gunn made Guardians his own in such an interesting and cool way.
But I guess it could be affected by Infinity Wars, because Guardians will be alive.
Right, that's true.
And where will they be? And
That's a good thought.
But it's interesting that Favreau's making these comments now. And Joss Whedon,
Matthew Vaughn. I would love to see Matthew Vaughn do maybe not Guardians 3, but
he's kind of like Shane Black. Where I enjoyed Iron Man 3, but it was a Shane Black movie, not a Marvel movie.
Right.
I feel like if Matthew Vaughn did a Marvel movie, it would be a Matthew Vaughn movie, not a Marvel movie.
Right, but
it still might be good, might be enjoyable.
I love Matthew Vaughn.
But
sorry.
Yeah, anyway, Joss Whedon has also said that he maybe was a bit harsh. He didn't handle Age of Ultron very well.
Right.
And he could see himself some point in the future teaming with Marvel again. And there's been some speculation that both of these people are saying that they could see themselves with Marvel again because Ike Perlmutter's no longer in the picture.
There. Yeah.
Which we talked about last week about how he and Feige had serious issues with each other.
Disagreements.
And the sort of creative committee that was stifling to some people. So, I mean, what do you think? Do you guys think that Perlmutter not being there is something that's causing these directors to say?
Yes, I think that, and along with the fun that has clearly been had on Civil War.
And how good it is.
I think those directors have seen Civil War and are like, wow, this is what happens when there is no Perlmutter in charge. Yeah. Let me come back. Let me now have more artistic freedom to play in this world with this giant budget with the most A-list of A-list stars you can get, and then also just have fun in a Marvel movie, because at the end of the day there's superheroes and like there's a reason Favreau and Joss Whedon did them in the first place,
right?
And I think they're getting that excitement back.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, that's literally all I was gonna say is fun, and yes, Perlmutter, I think that's affected a lot.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome. So I think that is the end of this week's episode of MCUEx, everybody. Make sure to follow MCUExchange.com for up-to-the-minute updates on everything related to the MCU. I'm Addie Brie Hays. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Addie Brie.
I'm Jeremy Stewart. Instagram, Twitter, Jeremy_Stewart.
And I'm Doug Herring. Make sure you're following the MCU Exchange at the MCU Exchange on Twitter or just at MCU Exchange on Facebook. Thank you so much for joining us this week, guys, and we will see you next week.
Enjoy Civil War.